All right, I don't know if you like what you're looking at. It's the Chocolate again, and we are back. We're back. We've taken a break. We're taking a break to try and make things right for you. Now, sisi yao tumerudi, and it's a pleasure to have you again this morning. It's the 2nd of June 2022. Tarehe 2 mwezi wa 6 mwaka 2022, nusu ya mwaka. And yesterday we had a Madaraka Day. Lakini kabla hiyo, kama kawaida, lazima tuende mbele za Mungu tuombe, alafu tukirudi basi tunakuja kuwapa salamu zenu. Lakini kwanza I request that when you join in, please like when you like, we get to know that you're watching us. And after like, please share. When you share, you give someone else an opportunity to watch the broadcast. This is a tackle and begins right now. Ojuang, you need to pray for us. And some of the things that you need to pray for, Ojuang, is all fresh new tackle and what God has been able to do for us. Tangu tuanze.
No, it makes. I hope the place has been dedicated.
I want to dedicate it now as a son of the bishop. Before you call them now the better bishop.
Or a son of prophet. I wish I had the holy water to speak on some of this mic. But seriously, let's think about that and call somebody to dedicate this place.
Sure.
But this is God's doing. We are proud of the place. The smell of paint, the smell of new wine. There's something about new things and the way they smell. And it makes me glorify God. It reminds me of His blessings are renewed every
single morning. Yes. It's massive.
Morning by morning, fresh blessings. It cannot be gainsaid. And the timing of this studio. If there is a studio that will be, I rate it a top 2% of the most influential media in Africa.
Top 2%.
I rate it a top 2% of the most influential because it doesn't take sound bites, but it gets into deep discourse. And debate.
That is very powerful. You don't take sound bites.
No. You take your sound bites to the other mainstream media. Here you come ready to get into the deep waters and tell us how. It smells good. It looks good. We look fine. I hope I didn't disappoint.
No, you didn't. I even realized you got a new trench coat.
I'm trying to do my best.
For the event.
It's the best I could have done for today. You look authentic, original, rested, and ready to push this country to deliver this baby in August.
It is a new season.
It's a new season. So let us pray. Indeed, God, thank you for our friend Bitok. Thank you for the tackle. We are here and we testify that indeed you are faithful. Thank you because this place that is brought up by the effort is a decent place. We dedicate the thoughts, we dedicate that you give us boldness to tackle the perennial lies, to boldly declare, to question, to share, to encourage, and to prepare Kenyans who are your children and whom you have called to be in this country to take their rightful place. Bless the guest, and Lord, we thank you as we congratulate Bitok. We are also glad that you are very faithful to him, and you have helped him to be faithful with the few resources, this tough time, that he has rebranded, that he has come with a totally brand new studio. All glory belongs to you, and we thank you. We dedicate the workers who are working here, coming back and forth, the volunteers. As this is done, may it give you glory. May it serve humanity, because when we do things that you love and you care about, it makes you happy. May you be pleased then. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
And the people said,
hallelujah. I think you'll allow me to pray again. And I think we need to thank God for this. Mighty Father, we come before you this morning. We worship you, Lord, for your name. We thank you for this fresh beginning. We thank you for the mercies given us, the things that we've never deserved to given unto us. We thank you for this beginning. We know we don't deserve it, but you've given us because you are merciful and you've seen the grace to ensure that you will be able to do what we do best. We thank you for something to wake up into in the morning. We thank you for every tackler who has been with us for these 2 years. They have stuck with us, they have supported us, and they've given us energy, given us resources. They spend their time. They buy bundles to watch us every single morning. We thank you for them because without them, this could never have been possible. As we start off this new journey, we pray that you're going to make an impact in this country as we change the thoughts and the ways of Kenyans to better. Lead us in every way. What we say, we be able to glorify your name. In this mighty name we pray and believe. Amen. Aye. Hallelujah. Aye. Najaribu kuona wangwana ambao wameweza kuamka, tafadhali unijoin please, like when you like we get to know the watching. Tunangoja mheshimiwa Johnson Sakaja. Tunasubiri mheshimiwa Johnson Sakaja ambaye yuko njiani, anasema yuko many kilometers away. Amesema yuko amesema ako 4 kilometers away.
Wow.
4 kilometers away. Amesema ako 4 kilometers away. Anakuja, tunamsubiri, anakuja hapa. Johnson Sakaja is a gubernatorial aspirant Nairobi County under the on a UDA ticket. Tunamsubiri aweze kufika tuweze kuzungumza pamoja. Lakini kabla ya hiyo tukimsubiri, we'll be having a conversation here with my brother Dr. Ojwang. And I also want to thank you, Ojwang, in a very special way. You've been with us since you joined us. You've never faltered. You've stayed with us, you've supported us, you've spent your time. You wake up in the morning, saa 11 na kuamsha umefika hapa. As zingine kupata umelala kwa gari. It takes commitment to build. And I want to tell you that without each one of you, this could not have been possible. Without people like you who have stayed committed to this cause, honestly, could never have been. And we just want to appreciate people who have stuck with us. The diaspora guys. Diaspora guys.
What
Chairman
is
Joel Arama.
that friend of ours?
Joel Arama.
Arama.
Yes.
You know I know Arama.
You know Arama.
Yeah, he was our neighbor in Alabama, and my elder brother's good friend. People find this work authentic, and I pray that you remain authentic, less PR, talk to Kenyans heart to heart, and that is the what we get when we talk to somebody like Arama. He's saying that he found somewhere where he can be, though far from home, but talk to his kinsmen, countrymen, men and women, brothers and sisters, parents, and that message will reach them. So yes, we appreciate them. We appreciate the tacklers. You mentioned them in your prayer. The people who find those bundles and find time to watch it, leave alone that, to wake their neighbors, 2 or 3, calling them, telling them the tackle is on. I mean, this is so much sacrifice.
It is amazing.
And public service. And together, you know, that is why it is like the tale of 2 cities. There is so much light and good people in this country. And there is also so much bad people in this country that you wonder, how do we balance so much? But I want to focus on the so much good people that promote, share, and boldly call this their studio and their voice.
Thank you so much, Joel Arama. Watu wa diaspora, asante sana, Joel Arama. Thank you. I don't know. I could not find a better way to thank you. Asante sana. Kenya Graphics, Pia, is a diaspora. An amazing Kenyan in diaspora was been really.
Where is he in the US or Sweden?
He's in the US.
In the US.
Yes. We also
have very good friends in Sweden, right?
Tuko na watu wa Sweden, tuko na watu wa Germany pia.
Germany.
The Australians are also big. Australians are huge. So we really appreciate you guys, the diasporans. Without every one of you, you could never have been. Thank you for guys who tune in also from Kenya every single morning. I'm seeing guys here who have been with us for the longest time. And they have stuck in for 2 years, bwana. Hoja isonga. Those are people I know. Nikiwesha hapa nikienda live, I know they'll be there.
Those people.
I mean, yeah. Najua hata kama najua watu wengine hawatakuja. I can count the guys.
And have you seen the amazing work they do on our Tackle Facebook page?
Yes.
It is always busy. It is always
Even when you are
fresh. Even when you are away,
you
are weird escapade. They are faithful.
They are faithfuler than me.
Yes.
All right. Okay, it's a pleasure to have you guys. I'm seeing Koila Lachuri and Nakuri is watching us. Asante sana. Good morning. Get the graphics, my brother. May God bless you. As I'm hapo. Asante sana. Farid Faraji anasema tuwak makenda. The new look of the taco. Asante sana. Thank you so much. Get the graphics. It's all new and fresh. And by the way, tutafungua masimu shortly. You can call in and help us cheer and appreciate the new season that we're beginning. Kevin Joroge, Api Valley, Esther Thika, logged in. Asante Sebastian Kibet. Good morning, bro. New taco looking great. Asante sana. CC Corey Lawrence. Anasema tuned in from Mombasa. Asante sana. Martin Sirkal Mosoriat is watching. Asante sana, Martin. Peter Kodek Amunga. I read somewhere that Honorable Sakaja was to be on the show today. Anyway, enjoying the debate. Sakaja Yukonjiani is almost 2 kilometers away. Should be here shortly. Noni Belem So. Anasema tuned in. Let's tackle issues. Let's tackle them issues. Shadrach Murai following from UAE, Dubai. Peter Kodek among some opinion polls are credible, real time, real scientific, now available at clock of a button. Kuna link ameyeka pale. Haya. Waifa anasema Sakaja yuko wapi? Yuko njiani dakika 2 atakuwa amefika pale. Collins Kipchirchir anasema wanatumia colors ya Jubilee, red and Azimio blue. Wewe.
How about the blue?
Collins. Haya. Emma Kemuntu anasema amen. Asante Flores is high man. Asante Ben KE morning team tackle. Welcome back after a long recess. To God man and the artists, we are back with fresh energy. Oseki Mutai tackle free Sam Nyamosi. Good morning to you, Cornelius Kiprotich. Gerald, great for me. My great friend Dr. Ari and I have an humble request. Tuambie request gani ambayo mko nayo na daktari? Rosemary Gabuki, hello, welcome back Mr. Takola. Asante sana. Asante sana Rosemary Gabuki. Marius Kipkuri logged in from Nairobi, Kenya. Chepkuri, somewhere this studio looks perfect. Asante sana Chepkuri. Cornelius anasema we need a new studio tour. Haya, tutarudi sasa hivi hata tunaweka aerial cameras. Yes, tunafanya a tour sasa hivi.
It's a tour guide.
Yes. Collins Misoi Sike, good morning. Tatoko say I to incoming governor. 35 kilometers away, 80 kilometers per hour, then equals to 2 minutes. It should be. See, Kanishas, good morning to my brother Ken K. Nairobi. There's some traffic. Yes, Prince Eric. It's 2 minutes buwan. Haya, anafika sasa hivi. But our Teng James, good morning, watching live from Tindiret Nandi Hills. Haya, unaweza piga simu, nambari ni ile 0779 800 010 0779 dakika 10. Alafu tukirudi basi ujua tunaangalia gazeti, si ndio? 0779 800 nakampotea wapi? 779 800 010. Unaweza piga simu, tuanga simu kidogo tupige story. Tuambie pia mambo vipi. We like to get to hear from you as well. Kama unaweza niangalia hapa kidogo kama. Hai, unaweza piga simu, nambari ni hiyo 0779 800 010 0779 800 010 0779 800 010. You can call in, unaweza kuzungumza pamoja, tuambie mambo ambayo tunaanza sasa hivi. Safari njema, the new journey that we beginning. Upo na sisi ama vipi? Haya, jaribu kuona kidogo kama ni yako inaweza ingia. Meanwhile, Ojwang, a review of yesterday. I think you saw it was Madaraka Day, and it's one special Madaraka Day. It's the last one for President Uhuru Kenyatta as he prepares to retire, as he has always said. He prepares to retire, saying it's the last one that he's doing. Now, there's also a very interesting thing that happened. It was the fact that he never invited his deputy, William Ruto, to speak. But anyway, before we get to that, the general review of an event yesterday on Madaraka. And is it yet Madaraka for Kenyans?
Yeah, this is the 56th or 7th Madaraka Day that we are celebrating. It's interesting because just this week I was seeing stories like fighting jiggers. I don't want to say the county, but it's not about the county. It is that we are still dealing with jiggers in this digital age. The very things that Mzee Jomo Kenyatta talked of, disease, ignorance, we are still dealing with jiggers. And to me, that is the reality. I expected a little more grace. I guess I was wrong. I saw the president tackle. I imagine that
there are tacklers everywhere.
On his way there, yes. He probably had that song, Wape vidonge vyao, wakimeza wakitema leo.
Vidonge vyao.
Right.
Wakimeza wakitema.
Knowing that he liked music, yeah. And then I know, of course, the enthusiastic press and bloggers around him telling him, wow, socialite is saying, today boss have told us the truth and given us direction. But it underwhelmed because I expected at least a line or a shout out about a high cost of living, about the fuel, the oil, the salt that has become a dream, the flour, the paraffin. I expected a line about that.
A sentence.
A sentence at least, if not a paragraph. That was missing, and that was very clear. Before I even get to what happened to somebody like Deputy President William, he can take care of himself. But can Kenyans who are going to bed angry, who are hoping to hear a way forward, eat a meal that night? I'm afraid not. And so, when you have rich man priorities, nimejenga barabara gorofa, and you keep talking of, kuna wengine hapa. I wish he named them. Kuna wengine wanasema, it is a misguided priority. The mzigo on corruption, the president cannot pass it and say that these are now my handing over notes. Corruption remains a problem because we know, and there have been reports of personalization of corruption, how much the business empire has expanded, how much the Pandora box have been stuck somewhere. And so just take your share. You know, the psychologists have come with a new term. It's called gaslighting. Gaslighting is making somebody think they are crazy so that they don't, you overwhelm them with the nonsense. So that, and it is done by bullies, sociopaths, or people who are just not decent people. So gaslighting, the way it works, you overwhelm your victim. You blame them. You make them doubt their sanity and their reality. So that it is a contrast of two cities. Am I the one who is sick? Am I the one who should be blamed? You know, we had a boss in my village. When you have weeded this farm and you go claim your money, you can even be caned. Mumeribu yo shamba, and you take off running, wondering, wow, I almost escaped with my life. That is what I saw.
And thanking God that you're not alive.
Otherwise, na unaambiwa huyo mzee amechapa watu wengi. But it was you. So that you overwhelm your victims. You blame them for your failures. And you railroad all this thing very hard. I mean, how could somebody be bold to justify high debt that we don't see? And those debts that are very high are going for infrastructure and showing that Kenya is rising for a few, but the cost of living for ordinary Kenya is not touched. So he cannot pass back on corruption. He cannot pass the back on, or he cannot explain away. And that was a pathetic attempt and desperate one for, so to speak, of trying to justify the debate on debt and the justification for it. The word legacy, you know, you don't work from that word. You make legacy, and then people say this is legacy. You don't wake up a month to and say, now my legacy is going to be women empowerment. Now all of a sudden I'm going to focus and have empowered women. It is done by policies, not roadside shows or wishes. I thought, now look, that reclaiming that Uhuru Garden took how many millions? I think it is 30 billion, but some...
Not 30 million, almost
300 million.
350 million.
Or 2 billion.
Yes.
I mean, yeah. What kind of a joke is that? Draining a swamp. That itself was a crime scene of corruption. That Uhuru Gardens and whatever itself. So you can see spendthrift, you can see projects, mega projects. And the current corruption in Africa is not the one not like Goldenberg where you take money literally. It is you come with projects which are cleverly designed to siphon money and to favor your contract. They are not priority to the country, they are a priority to the leaders. Then, of course, we get to the personalization of power. That event took how many million?
I don't know.
It was being projected as a million. I don't know, 300 or 30 million?
For the event?
Yes, yesterday.
Okay.
That is a national event. That is not a personal event. And national event must remain national event. You don't let me speak when you like me, and you shut me out if you don't like me. It is not about you we are celebrating. You are leading us into this celebration. It is a ritual.
That's a responsibility.
It is a ritual. It will have happened whether you are there or not. We have made it a ritual. Actually, it's in our constitution. These are national holidays. It is like those traditional ceremonies. Whether the elder is gone or not, there will be circumcision. So it is not your day. It is not, it can never be your day. And that is where I disagree with your media colleagues of making that day about him. It is about the Kenyans. It's about our heroes. It's about our struggle. It's about our mundane life. And it is not his day. But he hogged the day. From the jig, from State House, from saying bye, from meeting the cabinet. Some are sobbing. Some are trying to hide their fear, to coming to the stadium and talking about you again and yourself again and me and I and using all those personal pronouns that have nothing. And then the othering. Us versus na wengine. Mr. President, this is Kenya. I like what one time President Bush was asked against the Democrats. He said, those are fellow Americans. Actually, it's Obama who said, those are good Americans. And we might agree on our vision, but we all mean good for the country. It cannot be a campaign platform where you campaign yourself and talk of you versus them. Others, na wengine. And as nature will have it, your throat dries, you water it, kuna nani ana maji, hii speech imekuwa ndefu, and you can see that you are dealing with your own conscience if you have any, but you decide to railroad and share it and move on. I usually use this analogy, but I think yesterday it found its place. It is like an accident scene. You don't want to look at it, but something is telling you,
look at it
one more time. Yeah, that was what I saw yesterday.
There's a lot of blood. All right.
Blood everywhere.
And I thought so. I don't know. So you saw the show of military power, and I didn't know actually we have such equipment. A big show of military power at Uhuru Park, at Uhuru Gardens during the celebration. They showed us the equipment that we have, state of the art, that actually looks like they can shatter the wall. When I saw that. At entourage, and that proceed over the military. I was like, I think we can finally go and defend Ukraine from the Russians.
We can help you.
But then I remembered in Kerio Valley.
Oh, wow.
Kerio Valley, children are being shot at. I have very gory pictures of from Kerio Valley. Watoto wamepigwa risasi, vichwa zimepasuka. Wamama wamepigwa risasi, viuno zimepasuka. We have dead people. People are dying in Kerio Valley. And the government is so quiet. I don't know. Sometimes I wonder, are there Kenyans who are more Kenyans than others? And as the president Max Madaraka, I expected him to speak on the insecurity that is happening in Kerio Valley. He didn't speak on it. What do you make of this Kerio Valley madness?
Are there two citizenship? That was your question. I think there are others who are becoming Kenyans and there are others who are Kenyans already. There are others who are in the process of becoming Kenyans. And the quicker they become Kenyans, the better for them. But there are others who are already Kenyans. So that their greetings, their usual salutation of how is Kenya, come to bear and make sense. So those who are becoming Kenyans are the Kerio Valley, are the people in Northeastern. Those who are Kenyans already are the ones that are supposed to drive in the Barabara ya Gorofa that was being pointed at. And so we have two classes of citizenship, apparently. But even fundamentally important, the right to security is a right in the security, in the Constitution. And you see, people have moved from this hardcore security, where security means a boot on the ground and guns and whatever, to human security. That the issue of food is a security issue. The issue of cost of living is a security issue. So don't show me the gun, show me the flag. Don't show me the tomahawk and the mean fighting machines. Fight my anger. Give me water. Thirst, quench my thirst. Lower our cost of living.
Make us secure. I think the bare minimum that the people.
But by the way, how much do you want to bet I can take those people? Those who are only two. I mean, I expect if there are more, they should tell us. But there were only three of this. That would be a very small war where you only have 3 of tomahawk, 3 of tanker, and 3 of this and 3 of this. But I think it was to do 2 things. One, escape from the high cost of living. 2, I think that the issue of Kerio Valley, where they is sometimes beaten by our neighbors, sometimes there is bandits there, and they are branded, and once in a while, the Kenya military go there and beat them, disarm them, maim them even more, and live for 10 years, then go again and beat everybody, disarm whoever, and leave. There is what we call invisible government. Do you know how many police stations are there in Kerio Valley? I think 3 or 4. There is no government there. And that is what you are saying, that there are 2 citizenship. There are those who are becoming Kenyans, and there are those who are already Kenyans, and they're the standard of Kenyans. And he was talking to those who are already Kenyans and not in the process of becoming. It sucks if you are not on the table with us. It was, and so the security issue was important. Don't show us the power. Deal with our problems. The government should offer services. The government should deal with our pain, and not so much the might. But finally, I think it was meant to justify the use of military in civilian and democratic governance. It was to justify Nairobi. Remember, he was saying that he used the military to drain that swamp. Then I wonder why the budget is 300 million if it is our military who are paid anyway. It is to use the military to cut meat in Kenya Meat Commission. Apparently, one of their skills is to do good steaks. So he was justifying. You know, when somebody is guilty and nobody has even questioned you, you start explaining yourself. And you start justifying. But the Constitution envisioned military not to be commingled by civilians because they protect our borders and not internally. Thank you.
All right, that's a sad state of affairs in the country, the state of the nation. And finally, we have Mheshimiwa Johnson Sakaja. Tayari ameingia kwenye stadium. Mlikuwa mnasema eti if is 4.5 kilometers away and the speed is 80 kilometers away, you are mathematicians. Then it should be here in 2.5 minutes.
And the studio is moving at 2 kilometers.
The studio is also
a pleasure to have you finally, Mheshimiwa.
Excellent. It's great. It's great to be here.
Good morning.
Remember, good morning. And congratulations on the new studio.
Thank you.
I've seen some interesting comments. Kuna watu wanasema twak makende. Congratulate you.
That means a serious discussion.
I think
Discourse.
So. Discourse.
Serious discourse.
Yeah, and I told you my primary duty usually is as a dad. So I never let anyone else take my kids to school. I have to do it as the first priority. Even my bosses know. Between 7 and 8, hata huyo afanye hiyo kazi, hatumangi dereva ni yake. Because that's all the time we have. You never know.
What do you, and that's very interesting, by the way.
Yeah, I drop my kids myself.
What do you extract from that? What does it give you? What do you feel by doing that every single morning?
You know, like I've tracked the growth of my kids because I have a tradition that every morning when I drop them, from the time they were starting at 5 years old, 3 years old, 4 years old, we pick the newspapers on the road and they read for me the headlines. They try and struggle. Now they're 10 and 9 and 3, and it's an interesting discussion. And sometimes you just keep quiet, switch off the radio, and let them talk. That's how you know them. Because with our lives, you never know how the rest of your day will go. You focus on every other thing, but forget the most important.
Yes.
If today I'm not here, you guys will, mourn for a week. These guys, their lives will be affected. And so I prioritize doing it myself, not sending drivers with them. I don't think they've been in a car with a driver with me ever.
Wow.
And that's a tradition. For as long as I can do it, I want to keep doing it.
So zile mapiganga story ni story kama gani? Sasa ngine unakuambia story ya Kenya venye kunakaa.
It's interesting to see their perspective. Unajua Biblia inasema let us be like babies. They're very innocent. They don't understand why are these people walking and why are we in the car? Or why is this one pushing a mkokoteni, and you tell them, no, just work hard. If we create opportunities, you won't have to do that. And that person also should not have to do that. And it's a refreshing way of looking at life. For us, we are competitive to a fault. We forget that there's this perspective of our kids. And when you think about it, everything we do in public service, even why you're here, in your nice suits, why you're here, it's for the children.
Yes.
It's about the next generation. And every Kenyan wants the same thing. To go about your life peacefully, make something out of yourself, guarantee your children
And if
a
we
future.
could be making every decision,
Yes.
thinking of how it affects second and third generation, will we be making different decisions?
Very different decisions. Because we think too much of ourselves here now.
Oh, wow.
But if we thought about the next generation, even when you look at the environment, it's not a gift to give to them. It's something we've borrowed from them. When you think about our public debt, when you think about just the values of our country, and think about the next generations, I think we'd make many decisions differently. Yeah, but it's great to be here. I've wanted to be here for a long time. It's my first time.
I always wanted to have you here.
God's timing
it's
is perfect. I've always wanted to meet this guy. Very interesting commentator. So it's a great honor. I'm really honored.
And you are the first, but they did our first show since we took a break. We've been on a break to rebrand and try to upgrade a little bit. So you are the first guest.
Nice. So
you are the first guest.
Nimekuja na Kismat.
Umekuja na Kismat.
Yes.
Sasa ukiondoka mheshimiwa ukituaje vibaya.
Hata mimi ndacha kwa tu moja rangi.
Wacha mbegu. Now let me ask you.
Yes.
What is one of the most interesting question your kid has ever asked you in this these road trips that you do, these rides that you do to school? Ni swali gani anaikuuliza?
That you hesitated to answer and said, wow.
It's interesting. They're very interesting ones. Like they're convinced I should run for president. They want me to be president, but for very selfish reasons. They ask me, why are you not running for president? I'm like, no, I'm not. So you don't know to say whether you're not old enough because they think you're very old. You're not ready. They're like, no. When you see these other guys, you talk like them. You can do what they do. So I tell them, no, it's a process. But the reason they want it is because they want a motorcade to take them to school. I told them, even if I become, I'll be dropping them myself. I can be followed by chasers, but I'll be Koyogari maybe now.
Where now?
Yeah, so very, very interesting discussion. Sometimes you pick a paper and it's your name on the paper. And they ask you, what is this? There's been negative news. And we have to explain to them that one, not everything you see on the internet or on the newspaper is real. It's true. But I want them to always get it from me. Because there are days, I can be, they can be, there's a time they saw, SAKAJA has taken $1 billion shillings from KEMSA, I don't know what. And I have to explain to them first. Because I have to be accountable to them first. So I think it's better than them going out there and hearing things from their classmates. From, one of them actually was classmates with a competitor's child.
Wow.
Ngatia. Ngatia's child is in the same class as one of my kids. And he'd come with stories like, oh, what is this I had Nani's dad saying? You know, and so I think that honesty at that level is the best. Because we forget how kids of public figures see life. You know, for us, ni rahisi kutukana mtu kwa Facebook, on Twitter, to even put fake things and propaganda, but you forget.
We never think about the children.
You never think. The internet never forgets. And you know what you're typing is a lie, ni uongo. You know it is just supposed to spoil someone's day, but they have a family, they have children, they have, you know, loved ones. So I always, it's the burden we carry. It comes with the territory, and so I've taken it as my responsibility to always be fast with whatever information they require, and they know they can ask me anything.
So that intimate moment,
it's precious.
It's precious.
It's precious.
Okay, incredible.
They also appreciate
That's
it.
your camera right ahead. I want you to say hi to Kenyans.
Hi, Kenyans. Asante sana. I'm really glad to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for all those watching. I'm seeing very good comments and interesting comments online. Clearly, this show is very popular. People are welcoming us back. So it's great to be here, and I hope I can come more often, despite the tough campaign period and season that we are in.
All right. I think you help us go through the newspapers very quickly. Tuangalie headlines, just headlines. Angalia headlines kidogo. And on the People Daily inatuambia Uhuru fights back on debt. Kulikuwa na mambo ya kidogo ya deni. Baba yetu Uhuru Kenyatta ametetea, amesema Madaraka Day, President uses last national all-day speech to point out that critics and defend his record, including borrowing to fund infrastructure. But he also sent a strong message by snubbing his deputy, Ruto, and endorsing Raila's running mate, Martha Karua. That's on page 4, 5, 6, and up to 14. President Uhuru, how much is too much borrowing? When does borrowing become too much and unbearable to a nation? The only time that debt is burden to a nation is the nation is led by a cabal of looters, but in the hands of a visionary administration that is a catalyst for rapid development. It's on the People Daily. On the Star, Uhuru silences Ruto in exit Madaraka fit. Decision to bar DP from addressing official holiday was made after Kibaki burial. I think it's what happened then. Kwenye pia gazeti ya Taifa Leo inasema Uhuru amalizana na Ruto. Gazeti pia Uhuru na Ruto, tofauti ya viongozi hao wawili wakuu zajitokeza wakati wazi katika maadhimisho ya sikukuu ya Madaraka. Pale juu wasia wa rais kwa mrithi wake, ataka mrithi kupigana na ufisadi na kutumiwa nafiki serikalini. Uhusiano kati ya Rais Uhuru Kenyatta na naibu wake William Ruto kwa mara nyingine ilionekana wazi kuwa umesorota kupita kiasi jana, kufuata kauli kali alizotoa rais na matuko yaliyoshuhudiwa alipoongoza sherehe ya mwisho ya kitaifa akiwa mamlakani. Bali na Ruto kutohutubia umati mkubwa uliokusanyika Uhuru Gardens, Nairobi kwa starehe za Madaraka, rais alionekana kukwepa Ruto hata baada ya sherehe hizo kumalizika. Alright, the nation, the Uhuru scorecard. What will be remembered for? He built thousands of kilometers of roads, midwifed a new education curriculum, expanded access to primary health care, took on railway challenge, connected more homes to electricity, and led in the greening of the environment. But what truly will the Kenyatta legacy be? It's on page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8. End of a term assessment card. EACC issues a list of aspirants with integrity flaws. Una hapo Anne Waiguru, unaona hapo Mike Sonko, una Gidero pale, jamaa watu wa Muranga, Mwangi wa area, Alfred Mutua is there as well. Yeah, but I'm seeing also Oscar Sudi. Ngona wako hapo ambao wameweza kupigwa flag na the EACC. Any comments that you have to make on the headlines?
Well, the headlines are interesting. They were focusing on yesterday. I was there. It was a very interesting event. The display, you know, the full military parade was good to see. Of course, everything looked brand new. You know, you can see the tires. Haijakanyanga malingine.
Brand new second hand.
Not from theater of war.
No. You know, if other countries were to do this, normally you do a parade like that when you've invited your neighbors to watch. So that if, in case they get ideas, they know.
Just in case you are
you invite Somalia, Ethiopia, South Sudan, Uganda, Tanzania, waone tuko na nini. Just in case, just friendly reminder. Yeah. So it was interesting. I think the politics took center stage. I think it was very embarrassing that for the first time, the deputy president or the protocol that has been observed in all national celebrations since independence was not observed. I think the only time you missed that was probably when President Moi did not have a deputy president or a vice president at that time, yet he was still introduced by ministers. And there's a lead up to it. And this, you see, these events, I remember there's a time I was standing next to, I was sitting in between Musalia Mudavadi and the Right Honorable Prime Minister. And, you know, he kept whispering to me that, you know, these big speeches, these events, you know, you need to ongea Kiswahili, talk to the people, let other leaders, you know, say hi, because it's a mood. Kenyans have come to watch their leaders, you know, whether or not they have positions, so long as they are respected. And I concurred that it's not about, you know, doing a 1 hour speech. And of course, my former party leader and the President of the Republic has a liking to those speeches. The main thing really is why the Deputy President was ignored. I think no matter which side of the political divide you stand in, make their remarks, you have the final say and the final word. Though I don't know what the reasons were. There could be other reasons. Secondly, you know, Ole Soyinka said that a tiger does not proclaim its tegritude. It pounces. You do not tell people what your legacy is. Let them decide for themselves what they see and what they feel. We never had President Kibaki saying, I have built the longest highway, thicker super highway. Or no one has ever done free primary education. We just said there must be education and it was done. It is Kenyans who later said, actually, this is what his legacy was. Your legacy does not come from your mouth. You don't tell people, you'll remember me for this. You know, I can't say in this show that I promise you, after this is what mtakumbuka. But based on everything you've done, and I acknowledge, I mean, I've been chairman of the party, I've been within the Jubilee administration, and there are things that have been, you know, absolute successes that have been done. Let Kenyans see it for themselves, and then judge you later in life, so that we have a transition to the next president. So for me, that was just the only blot there. Otherwise, it's really a reminder of our self-determination as a country. Our ability, you know, self-determination also means our ability to make our own political choices, that we are ruled by ourselves. We shall choose who our leaders are without any intimidation, any coercion, self-rule, and that ability to make a decision, to go to the ballot and say, I want to be the president or to be governor, you know, that I think is a hallmark of it.
Okay, all right, and what does that make you feel? Because now we are at the point where we are saying, finally, women are going to get an opportunity in leadership by electing a deputy president who is a woman. It's great, that's inspirational.
Women have always had an opportunity.
But now,
they have run for president.
when you look at our politics, is it sanitized enough? Is it hygienic enough that we can celebrate and say, if someone gets there, if SAKAJA gets there, we know that our people are good? If we are looking at what is happening right now, the treatment that's happening within the presidency, the president and the deputy president, is there a political hope in this country?
I think there's political hope. Of course, I applaud women, and really those comments were not because of belief in women per se, because if that was the case, then you know, we've seen the same Martha vying for president, Julia Ojambo. We've seen many people vying for president and they have not been supported. Democracy matures on its own. Kenyans make their choice. But there is hope, because we are getting to a place where somebody says kuna shortage ya wajinga Kenya hii. People will see, people will decipher. People have woken up from the slumbers of apathy. Despite the fact that there are not too many new voters who registered. But many of those who have been dormant politically are commenting, and they're coming into political spaces. There is hope for our country if we build political institutions. Yesterday was not one of those days, because really it was an Azimio rally, so to speak, and a military show. It should not be that. We should be able to separate institutions, national functions, and politics. Even the deputy president, when he gets an opportunity to speak, should be able to separate his role as a deputy president with his role as an aspirant or a candidate for the office. So I'm not saying that it is correct if he does it. Even if he does it, it is not correct.
We'll still call him out.
We will still call him out. That look, just stick to agenda. You can have some, smart ways of bringing in your agenda, yeah. But stick to it. That this is your decision, and I mean this is your position. And ideally, you should not take more than 10 minutes when you're introducing the president. That has always been my view, that you're just setting the stage for the head of state. Let him come and actually say what he's been able to do or what his policy is. So there's hope, but I think yesterday was a bad show. It will be, being remembered as a last, Madaraka Day, ending with such a note was not good. You saw hordes of people walking out, walking away. Maybe many of them maybe walked away because they wanted to hear Baba. Yeah, many of them, and they have walked from home. They have come. When I was driving in, I saw many people with their kids. Leo tutasikia Raila, leo tutasikia Ruto, leo tunaweza sikia labda the governor of Nairobi, Kananu, because even in those functions, Sonko used to start, and then
That's good. The governor alienda.
She was there. She was there. She was sitting a few seats next to me.
Was there too.
Not that voice. Anyway, and finally on that, then I'll give to Ojwang, Senator SAKAJA.
Yes.
You want to be governor.
Yes.
How do we fix this thing that you're saying? That we can have a president that's so tensed. And I mean, I don't like you, and I don't like you, and I block you from being your official duties that you can do. How do we fix this so that even if we transition to another government, a deputy president, maybe like Martha Karua, can feel comfortable? Because I'm sure she watches this. She sees the way these other gentlemen is being treated.
She will have walked out herself.
If it was her. But let me tell you, I think...
Where do we end this circus?
A country with many laws shows it has mistrust. There's no law. You cannot legislate on good manners, good behavior. You cannot legislate on, just humanity or humanness. I think it's the character of the people we put in office. I would not want any deputy president to be treated that way. And I would not want any president to feel slighted by their deputy. I would not want any deputy governor, and I'm committing even to my own deputy governor, designate, or, my running mate, that, look, we're a team. This should be your defined duty. These are my defined duties. This is how we resolve conflict when conflict arises. It's really the character of the individual. There's nothing else you can say about it. I hope, if the deputy president wins the election, and I pray he does because of my coalition, and he's a person I believe should be, that he does not treat his deputy, Rigathi Gachagua, in that way. If Raila wins, I hope he does not treat Martha Karua in that same way, that you can respect those institutions. And remember, these are not the days where the president is elected and then appoints a vice president. You actually are on the ballot together. There are people who will vote for you because of your deputy. There are people in Nairobi possibly who will vote for me because of Mushiri Njoroge Mushiri, my running mate. And so I must give him that respect. And he must know also I'm the boss. I'm the one who is in charge. But, leadership is not a position. It's about how you're able to influence what happens. It's about teamwork. So no matter what side of the divide you sit at, just put yourself on the other side of it. And let me tell you, I have been consistent when it comes to respecting offices. Even before the handshake, I remember in the National Assembly, when they brought the issue of Raila Odinga's retirement benefits together with Kalonzo Musyoka, and Adan Duale, my colleague then, was fighting it. I stood up, and I was the only person in Jubilee that time who said no. They are being given by virtue of the work they already did. They were being told that they must quit politics. There's never been such a caveat. That we must respect that there was an office of the Prime Minister. It was held by Raila Odinga. There was an office of Vice President. It was held by Kalonzo Musyoka. Their retirement package is not a favor. And it's not a political bait that you use. And I stood my ground. So I've been consistent when I'm saying this. So let no one think that I'm saying this because of the political side I'm on now. Even back then, when the person who was denying Raila his retirement benefits was Uhuru Kenyatta. Yeah. When there was no handshake, and my friend Babu was in a cell, I went and got him out. Because I believe politics is not an enmity. When Honorable Lodge was being beaten up, like a Burukenge, on the 26th of October, at Pan-Africa, by goons from Jubilee, I held him and I said, no, go through me first. Because we must have that culture of respect of each other, despite our political differences. That is how you build a country.
Okay. All right, Ojwang.
Thanks. Was it this week that we saw one restaurant or one club where we had 3 lines? It is like Mississippi in the 40s. There was a line, usually in Mississippi, there was a line for the Negroes or the colored, or if it's a toilet, and then there is a line for the whites only. We saw that there was a restaurant that had 3 forms of line. In terms of if you are white, you are on this line. If you are Asian, you are on the not so bad line, on the not so long line. And if you are until I stopped. Because what we used to do in that conference was go there and ask ourselves, how are white people treating us? Oh, yeah, it's bad. Oh, it's terrible. They spanked me the other day. Oh, yeah, they almost spit on me. Till I said, this is hopeless. As long as it is about how they treat us, they will always continue treating us the way they want. It is so helpless. Why are we so dominant? Because it is, the race discussion was simply about how much they accept us these days. Oh yeah, they still have refused to intermarry us. They don't like us that much. They don't like our food. And I said, no, it's about us first. Are we comfortable with whom we are? And that is why for somebody like me, I have no apology that you might find my turn a little bit chocolatey, and you always comment about it. I have no apology to make on that. I'm an African. When I stayed in the US for 13 years, I made a deliberate choice that I will not let this accent go. And I got there at the age of 19. I said, this is part of my identity.
13 years?
19 years.
19 years.
Yeah, this is part of my identity. So when I saw old people struggling,
some people, when they get the visa,
right,
know your accent.
to change their accent. I was like, no, because I got there, I was very clear who I am. I'm from Kenya. I'm from Luo community. I'm a Christian, a Seventh-day Adventist. I'm a man. I knew my identity. I wasn't minority. I am majority. And even if I was minority, God is authority. So I didn't care.
Right.
So the first presentation I make in that class, there's this white lady in front of me. Excuse me, can I understand the heck you're talking about? I told her, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, it's because you don't know English. She's like, huh? I'm white. I'm like, yeah, because English is spoken with variety of accents. And so just because I don't speak the way you speak, does not mean I'm not speaking in English. So I think there's a place for the county to discuss this discourse of, one of the issue of culture is within the counties. But for Nairobi, it's a cosmopolitan place. We are dealing with issue like racism now. We are dealing with the issue of interracial relationship. But there is something that I continue bemoaning. We always find ourselves short. We always find ourselves more willing or more vulnerable than we should.
Okay. All right. Mheshimiwa Sakaja, you've seen what is happening in Kerio Valley. You are among the leadership in this country, very respected. You've seen the insecurity in Kerio Valley. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of children who have been shot with their heads open.
Videos. I've seen pictures that are not.
You've seen women.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not pictures that you want to look at twice. You sit in leadership. What do you think is? I mean, you've talked to us. You've described the military parade that you saw yesterday.
Yeah.
What the hell is wrong with this country?
I think it's just leadership that doesn't care. I've toured those areas before when I was chairman of the Committee of Cohesion and Equal Opportunities in the National Assembly. Actually went to 34 counties and did peace agreements between warring communities in many areas. And the areas where we went to actually, they have had ceasefire since then. But if you look at those places, you realize that the government actually does not care. That's as simple as you can put it. You have a situation where, like 10 children die, or 20 people have been killed in Marsabit, or whether it is in Ginyang, or Loruk, or in Suguta. First of all, in the newspaper, it is on page 5, if at all, in the newspaper. Yeah. There is no outrage. If the same thing happened in Kileleshwa, the world would stop. It's the same way. I remember when I was dealing with a building that collapsed in Huruma, where we lost 47 children and women. I spent 3 nights there in Huruma. The first night, even the equipment to get people out who are stuck, I had to buy from my pocket. The milk and bread to, for the rescue teams, while people were just haggling. That story died down. If it was a building that collapsed in Lavington, or another part of the city that is more affluent, there would be outrage. People would have been fired. People would have been asked to step aside. Things would have been done. A first-class country cannot have a second-class citizen. Then the country is not a first-class country. Every Kenyan, and that's why I say the most important thing and the reason we actually need to give proper leadership, every Kenyan should feel as Kenyan as the next person. So there's a complete lack of leadership in that sector. We've spoken about it ad nauseum in the Senate. We've done what we can do as elected leaders. The executive, it has fallen on deaf ears from the executive. And we hope that the next government will actually make sure any Kenyan, whether you're born in Nanyuki or Laikipia or Kisumu or Nyeri or Nairobi, you feel as Kenyan as the next person by what the government offers you. I mean, you're showing us all of this glitzy and polished, equipment. You're releasing the military to Kenya Meat Commission instead of to Kerio Valley to deal with that. You're thinking of the military as a profit center as opposed to securing lives of Kenyans. I think it is not excusable. That child deserves the same as my child. My child has no bigger God or a bigger birth certificate. My child's birth certificate doesn't have 3 pages. They're all the same. I think it's just the depth or the bottom of just lack of leadership by the executive. I've had the senators from that area. I've had Senator Murkomen talking about it. I've not had the Senator of Baringo talking about it though, because a lot of that is also around Baringo.
Yes, when it's under Baringo stretch.
It's under that county. We lose ourselves when we sacrifice on the table of political expediency the value of human life. No matter who you are and no matter where you stand politically, those are things that we should be making a lot of noise about. So my condolences to the families. One of the recommendations we had given was the KPRR, the reservists, that if they're both sides actually have reservists in equal number, they have their way of dealing with their issues and to tone it down. And also the leadership from that area must tell us what they've been doing in terms of economic empowerment of these people. We've had 10 years of devolution. We've had more than 20 years of CDF. You can't also have a situation where in some areas, there are still people studying under a tree, we don't have roads, yet you get the same amount of money. Because I've always said, and many people don't like me for that where we are today as a country, there's no excuse as to why certain people, and leaders use it, the victim mentality that in this area of ours, we've never had anything since independence. Devolution is 10 years. We've had CDF beyond then. CDF in Nairobi gets the same amount of money, yet we have bigger populations. So let no one make an excuse as to why those people are there. Everybody should answer based on what their responsibility is. If your role was to give them schools based on CDF, which you get 150 million shillings, and you've not built a school, answer to it and tell us, maybe my area is vast, and this is the kind of support I need. But we must take responsibility. So it's terrible. We can't have Kenya A and Kenya B. A first-class country cannot have a second-class citizen. And that is the same thing happening, with the case that you've just spoken about of racism.
In Kenya.
In Kenya. Let me tell you, people died for our independence. People died. People who traverse this country, people who are tortured for us to be independent. Some think that this is such a sensitive thing that you should not talk about. We must talk about it. That today, whether or not they say the matter is being investigate. There cannot be a hint or a whiff or an idea that there could have been racial discrimination in Nairobi. You cannot have that. There was another restaurant as well which had such a similar issue in Westlands. That when you come for service, you're not served. These are the people that are to be served first. We cannot have that in 2022. Yeah? What will the people like Dedan Kimathi? What would they say? Wakieza kuamuka. The women who were maimed and raped, people in concentration camps, for us to have self-determination. And on Madaraka Day, when the discussion is coming. And the answer comes in this Bob Marley song. Emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but yourselves can free your minds. We got physical emancipation.
But our minds are still colonized.
But our minds are still colonized. Because the people standing in those lines, making you do the different lines, are not Mzungu. It is people like you and I. Unless we remove that mental block,
and we cannot allow us.
No one can discriminate against you without your permission. No one can. So we must stand up to that. And I'm glad the governor of Nairobi, who is governor at this point, took the action she did. I think more needs to be done. We need to see the full investigation and actual prosecution because it goes against our laws. Article 27 of the Constitution speaks against discrimination of any form and not on race. In Kenya, no. That tomorrow my child will be told you're black, you go to this line. No, you can't pussyfoot around such a thing.
Haya ndio tukuje Nairobi sasa. Ndio turudi Nairobi. I would want to know
Nairobi.
two things. Ndio turudi Kanairo. Two things. What do you think is the problem in Kerio Valley? Number one. Two, why do you think the government is doing nothing about it? What do you think is the reason?
I think the government has different priorities.
Okay.
And the lives in Kerio Valley are not valued as lives in Nairobi.
Okay.
As simple as that. If they were, there would be a state of emergency. Those equipment were being shown yesterday would have been in Kerio Valley.
Okay.
Yes. How did they help us in Uru Gardens? And they all knew. I told you they all spanking knew. You can't deploy. When you deploy, if you have to deploy the military, because you have different, and I think you don't even have to get to the military, because we have the police. Because for you to deploy them, you need to go through parliament. But they have been deployed to Nairobi. They have been deployed to Kenya Meat Commission. There's a whole battalion of Meat Commission. They have been deployed to other things. Yet lives. So number three, the issue of KPRR, the police reservists, being treated in a you disarm one side and you leave one side armed. That is completely based on politics, based on who is on which political divide, or who has a say in the Ministry of Interior. You either have no reservists at all, you disarm all of them, and make sure you've curtailed all of them. I mean, Museveni did it. On the other side of Pokot. He did it. And you know what he did? He was very smart. He told them now, they started a process how they were helping these guys clean their guns. So later, what they clean for you, your guns, they tell you, they give you back. So people, they gained trust. One day when everyone came, murudi nyumbani. And I promise you, there is no issue in that part of Uganda. He did it. We must be smart.
But you see the talk, this is, I see a connection here. Remember the revenue sharing formula?
Yes.
Because you asked why.
Yes.
Remember SAKAJA are one of the few senators who said, for the sake of Kenya, that there is no less Kenya, that we must develop the whole Kenya. Do you see the mindset that there are places that should be priority? Yeah. And it started from independence, sessional paper 69, that there are people who we cannot wait for to be civilized before we develop. Remember your definition of a pastoralist as somebody roaming from a place to place in search of water. Do you think that definition is from a pastoralist or from a colonizer who hates what they're doing, that they're roaming? If you ask them, will they tell you they're roaming? They quite know where they're going. So I remember that discussion was being revisited 40 years later in the Senate, where now the issue was, I'm giving more. You are not, you don't deserve this. And thank to a few bold senators at the risk of their life.
Oh, I'm telling you.
Remember what happened to people like SAKAJA? All of a sudden, he found himself in scandals in the middle of it. Yeah. But they stood up. And that is where now we bring people like even the Makueni senator. Also, and a few of colleagues like Chumba Murkomen. They stood up and said, the revenue sharing formula must have equity in it. Yes, let those who deserve get their share, but let us not treat the rest of Kenya like their internal self-colonization. You know what Ali Mazrui, he talked of the fight for the freedom. Ali Mazrui is saying we will have internal colonization here. If you go to coast, you will find the coastarians are almost colonized by a few people who own everything and employ them. And so I want to congratulate him that if we are talking of history and legacy, then that shows you the mindset, and they were able to stop it. How much money goes to Kerio Valley should be a concern of a Nairobi senator. Should not just be a Kipchumba Murkomen thing, and the way
it should be a nationalism.
Yes,
it should not be a certain person.
Right, that's the mindset we have in Kenya. We are very selfish people. If there is injustice at coast, hiyo ni watu wa pwani. If there's injustice in Nyanza, hiyo ni Kinojuang. I don't know whether Migingo is going. Hata wakitupwa huko shauri yao.
It doesn't matter.
If there is sugar industry collapsing in Mumias, hiyo ni Abandu. Wacha wafanye venye wanataka. If there is nini Kerio, unajua wale ni watu wanapigana wamezoea.
Watu opposition.
So that is how the nation dies.
Yes.
Because then there is nobody to cry for you when everybody is being eaten on their turn.
Yeah.
Today I deal with him, kesho I come deal with you, we umenyamaza because ni yeye, and then nini. But I think the bigger picture, that it starts with development and underdevelopment. It starts with sharing revenue. It starts with BBI. And what it was trying to do, because it was going to entrench the revenue sharing formula that was so toxic, that was so discriminatory. The cancer of this country, as Mheshimiwa has pointed it right on the bullseye, is wrong priority.
Wrong priority.
Others feel they deserve more than others.
All right, Mheshimiwa, let's come back to Kanairo.
That is so true.
Haya, tumeingia Kanairo, tukaribisha Kanairo.
As we get into Kanairo, you know, I must emphasize that because it was a very difficult time. And people are trying to entice us to say, oh, Nairobi, you're going to get 100 million more. I told them, we're not fools. This month tumefanya. First of all, yes, we believe high populations must get more. And Nairobi cannot be the biggest population and is number 28 in the terms of increase. That was number 28.
In terms of the
increase.
Yes.
When we fought this thing and said there's no Kenya A or Kenya B, we can't not care what's happening in the rest of this country. Instead of 100 million, Nairobi got 3.3 billion more. And the primary work of a senator is to bring resources. And I moved it from 15 billion to 19 billion. What they were sloganeering then as one man, one shilling was not, that formula was not what the slogan was. The slogan and the formula were different. What they were actually trying to achieve is saying, why is it that some parts of the country are getting this money and they're building apartments? And we said, look, even your own governor in Kiambu is building apartments. Give people their money, let them do what they must do with it. Let us have accountability. But you cannot say that it is not about how much we get, but those ones should not get. That was the problem at that time. Let me tell you how we solved this issue. And I've really thought about it. I've agonized about it. If you look at the entire Kerio Valley and the Rift, there's a natural resource of gas. There is a geothermal potential.
Yes.
The geothermal potential, and there's a time I sat, out of this research in this area, I sat with then one of the bosses at GDC and some of our energy people, and they said, you know what, we can actually transform our livestock farming through this geothermal. The byproduct of GDC is what? Water. If you channel it properly, look at the economy of water. Look, it's water. These conflicts are based on water and pasture.
It's water conflict.
It's water conflict. But if you channel it properly, I can tell you, for instance, in this country, 88% of our livestock is in ASL places. Only 14% is commercially viable. Look at economies like Botswana and Namibia. You will transform that place. Those are the ones who will be donating money to us. If you use that water properly channeled through, and there's an entire route map of how it could have been done. The guy is called Simiu. With those ideas he had, he was kicked out. He went home. They said he's corrupt.
And he worked with Professor Mputu.
Yes, Professor Mputu. Livestock farming in this country can transform. And part of what is going on in those areas, because you say, oh, there was cattle rustling because of cultural things. It is business.
You cannot have a culture of rustling.
It is business. You know, the money they would take for dowry, I'll go take 5 cows from that homestead to Fuate. But they know next time they'll come for those 5 when it is us getting.
Exchange.
I was in a place in Baragoi, Samburu North, where 1,000 head of cattle disappeared.
How can
disappeared?
1,000?
If 3 cows pass outside here, we will hear. 3. 1,000 head of cattle disappeared. So what we realized, it's organized crime. They are taken, they are slaughtered immediately. By the next morning, they're at the port of Mombasa. At the port of Mombasa.
Export.
To the Middle East.
Wow.
We have not gained from the leather. Leather is huge. We've not gained from that. We've not trained our people how to use bolus technology. So if the government cared, that's what I'm saying, the solutions are there. If we actually cared about these people, that economy will be transformed. But anyway, let's come to Nairobi. Yes.
Kanairo, you've said let's make Nairobi work.
Let's make Nairobi work.
And I would want to know, by the time you're saying let's make Nairobi work, clearly you're in other way you're telling us it's not working.
It's not working. It's not working.
What are some of the fundamental problems that you think Nairobians have? you think? Shida gani unaweza, you can list and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hii ndio ugonjwa ya Nairobi.
Nairobi, first of all, is not working. When Mama Mwende goes to Mama Lucy Hospital with her ailing child, and this is a story of something that actually happened, cannot get attention, and before an ambulance is even given to her, because the ambulance is sitting out there, the child is to be brought to Kenyatta, it takes hours and the child dies, and the ambulance is there. Nairobi is not working.
Oh, yeah.
You remember that story?
Oh, yeah.
It is not working. Oh, yeah. It is not working if you have to wake up your child at 4 a.m. to go to be in school by 8 because of traffic. This is not working. When our taps run dry, when more than 70% of Nairobians have never had a shower from, vertical. Ni Mando na Mitungi. Nairobi is simply not working.
Yeah, bottom up.
Yeah, bottom up shower. The shower is bottom up. It is not working. Let me tell you, when we have thousands of our young people with the credentials sitting in jobless corners, having just mogoka and have no hope, are disillusioned because there's no job and there's no economic opportunities. A lot about this city is not working. And the first thing we want to give the people of Nairobi is order and dignity. A city of order and dignity. That everybody knows this is the rules we abide by. This is the information. This is what I need to know for me to be in this city. And you dignify people's lives. There's no dignity with having to jump sewers to get to your house. There's no dignity. And we've come to accept that it's okay. There'll always be garbage here. That Nairobi will always have cartels. That will always be corrupt. That water will only come once or twice in a week. There is no dignity in that. In somebody living in a house that you separate you and your children using a bed sheet, there is no dignity. So if we have a city of order and dignity, then now that tells us the number of things that we need to do. Many of our children, there are more children who are not in school in Nairobi than in Turkana because of hunger. In Nairobi. And people have always thought, I told people, even in the Senate, my colleagues, you people are bringing a marginalization formula. Nairobi should be in that marginalization formula. The places in Nairobi where there's no water, sanitation, electricity, there are always fires in Mathare because of illegal power connections. Right now, there's an entire ward, a ward,
sub-county,
is represented by an MCA that has had no electricity for 9 months because of illegal connections in Mathare constituency. So the people of Nairobi also deserve to live a life of dignity where you can feel proud of yourself and say, I am from Nairobi, I am Nairobian. It's not just a transitory place ya kupita. Na uko na ushago. Many of us have no ushago ingine. Me, I was born and raised in Ngara. I've been in this city. You have been away for 19 years. I have not been out of Nairobi 1 month ikifuatana. I've traveled na kurudi, but ile imeshikana. This is the place we know. So we want to bring leadership that one listens to the people, that works with the people in a participatory way, not to give them solutions from the top down, but from the bottom up. Because the governments that have been there, and I've taken time, I've studied the government of Governor Kidero. Governor Kidero did some amazing things, and he also messed up. Yes. He was the first to set up a structure of devolution with limited resources, had 3 cadres of staff. Those he found in the city council, those that were thrown from national government, you can't even say seconded, and those he hired with different schemes of service. A challenge that is still there. And by the time he had to set these things up, it took some time. The first public service body, if you look at its report by Captain Kungu, I think he's architect Kungu, it has very important gems for you to learn. And I learned from it. So I learned from his strengths and his mistakes when, of course, there were no proper checks and balances in terms of corruption, etc. Governor Sonko had a heart for the people. He had such a solid heart to help people. I know where he succeeded and where he failed completely. By also being a one-man, this city does not need a magician, one person, to sort out all the problems. And so he could not work with other leaders. So I've learned from the mistakes and the strengths. Shakespeare says, truly wise is he who learns from another's mishap. But the NMS, I've seen what they've gained from and what they've not been able to do. And I think now we're able to present something credible, that from the best of all of these governments, this is what we can present to the people of Nairobi.
That move Nairobi forward.
To move it forward, order and dignity. This is a global capital, a global hub. How do you have a global hub, 21st century global hub, where the only public thing about public transport is the passenger? How?
Wow.
That literally it's just the body. That's only. It's private transport. We need a mass transit system in this city that takes you from point A to point B. Our friends who are millionaires in New York don't own a car because they know that I'll just jump into the subway, I'll get into the train, I'll get into the bus. So there are different aspects of what we need to sort out in Nairobi, and I believe that with a proper team, and working with the area resident associations, with the estates, with the people at all levels. And I'll give you the example why top-down planning doesn't work. Just up the road here, when you go to the Dagoretti corner, there's a market that the government decided to do for the people. The people didn't ask for that market. They were okay trading how they were. They decided to do a market for them. This market is 4 stories high. The parking is on the roof. They have put wale mamamboga, wanyanya na vitungu on the 4th floor. And they're asking, who will climb up 4 flights of stairs to buy nyanya na kitungu ya kupika leo? In Dagoretti. So now they have put, I think, electronics and spare. It is not working. But if you worked with them, you must work with the people. So all of this, if you look at the people of Buruburu, they know what they want, what will help them there. The people of Ngong Road, along Ngong Road, all the way up until Karen, they know what works for them. So I'll work with these area resident associations to just bring order.
And this is interesting because very refreshing, focusing on the people rather than infrastructure only.
Yes.
Because think about it, every time I've had ban in Nairobi, it is about matatus.
Yes.
And I'm saying, what kind of priority is this? I drive alone.
Yes.
And you are saying you are banning the matatu, which is carrying 50 people.
Yeah.
And you are letting people who are on the car alone. Yeah. Are you trying to encourage the culture of carpooling and of public transport? Then what you are doing is making somebody feel, okay, I will also do everything I can to have my own car.
Yes.
Because, I mean, why watu wa matatu nyi mmelete jam? Nyi ndio mnaharibu Nairobi.
Imagine.
Who is bringing the jam? This person is carrying 50 people. Because if you go to those cities like you are saying in New York, the priority line are given to people who have 3 or 4 people in the car.
Yeah, high capacity.
Yes. Yeah. And everybody else, if you are alone in the car, you are stuck in the jam, so that you learn a lesson, and tomorrow you look for your neighbors and say, can we be 6 so that we get the priority line? And that is how you beat jam. So this culture, and it's interesting because I was reading a case of Pangani. A woman gave birth. She didn't have 300 shillings to pay, so she could not be discharged. But now she has no bed. She slept by the toilet. She caught an infection because she had gone through C-section. So her uterus were almost falling off. Serious infection. She was not fed for 2 weeks. It was actually in court before Judge Mumbi. Wow. And you wonder, you are developing for who?
Yeah.
If a woman who has given birth has no 300, is here detained with her child for 2 weeks, sleeping by the dirty toilet, infected and reinfected and starving. And then you are saying we are developing because we have painted, we have made grass, people can walk with their dogs there, their kids can ride a bike. It is wrong priority. The dignity is talking about is very important. Because how can you have dignity when you are sleeping by the toilet? How can you have dignity when there's trash all over you? You can't. You can't. So I think that it is good that Mheshimiwa, you are pointing at what the predecessor did. They did something. They did something. You also can't say they did nothing. But building on it, to help Nairobi. But to me, the question is, okay, this is the capital of Nairobi, of Kenya. How will you feel if some of the major government services are removed from Nairobi? For example, in South Africa, you find the Supreme Court is not in Joburg. Yeah. Maybe Parliament could be in Mombasa. Devolution kind of help decongest Nairobi a little bit, because before everybody with a big car will be in Nairobi. Today I go to Homa Bay, I see some upcoming Kemsa billionaire there driving their big wheel. So we are sharing, we are having our cake there and eating it, which is fair. The Nairobi city, the traffic congestion, the lack of planning which started from colonization. This city was planned for very few people.
Yeah.
Will it take boldness, tact, or what does it take to
reimagine
to reimagine Nairobi? Do we need rebaptism or rebap? But we need something very, very draconian for anything to happen in Nairobi, because the issue is we have the informal sector.
Yeah.
We don't like them so much, but they are also here. We have places that are invisible that you hear people cannot go and police cannot go. There are places I hear if somebody don't pay your rent, unaweza tu kumuita mkutane hapa town. You can't go and demand for your rent. How is cooperation with the national government going to be different from how Sonko did it? Sonko said, here is the baby, bring the military. How are you going to cooperate with them, adopting some things without being adopted or swallowed?
Let me say this, because you've alluded to something that has been part of discussions over time.
Okay.
There's a time when in one of the proposals in BBI, and I remember at that time I was really supporting many of the proposals in BBI that would bring equity in terms of representation. For me, representation was my main thing, and more money to the counties. There was a proposal to scrap Nairobi as a county,
Yes,
and to leave it under the national government. And let me tell you, we fought. Not even we, I called all my MPs in Nairobi. They told me, you're on your own. Half of them were not interested because they were in Tangatanga. The others who are now not in Tangatanga like us, they said, you cannot touch a comma, Baba said, and Uru, and went to Naivasha. And I made a case. I pleaded and said, look, if devolution is the biggest gift you're given to Kenyans, why would you deny 10% of, or more than 10% of this country's population, which Nairobi is, that gift of devolution? Just because it has not worked with Kidero and Sonko, doesn't mean it won't work. Even if it is Badi is a human like the governor. Let him be elected if you want that. But you'll have, you can't say there are angels in the national government and demons at the county government. And they said, oh no, many countries have the seat of the national government is not a devolved unit. I said, that is true. But what they have done, they have moved from what was a vibrant financial center or capital that time and created an administrative capital. In Nigeria, it was Lagos. In the 80s, they said, let us move and build Abuja. FCT, Federal Capital Territory. 12th December 1991 is when Abuja was started. They moved from Lagos. They didn't turn Lagos into that. They moved. In New Zealand, they moved and made Canberra. And they created it. In the US, states donated land along the Potomac River to say, okay, let us have the District of Columbia that we donated to become the capital. Let's move from Philadelphia and from New York.
Virginia,
and
work in Washington.
And you work in Washington. So that's what you do. So if you really want to think about that, and you see it's a lack of a vision, we can say, okay, Kenya in 50 years, where do you want it to be? Let us go geographically to say the seat of national government, parliament, kila mtu ende Isiolo, if you want that. And build it from scratch. It's a geographical center. We'll then build the north, we'll build the rest of the country, but let Nairobi thrive as it must be. So of course we must work with the national government, but never again are we going to transfer functions given to the people of Nairobi to the national government. If the elements that have worked within NMS, because it's a cocktail of hits and misses, and you see, I always tell my team, no need to keep talking about it because it is not our opinion. It is the constitution. Their term will come to an end. Unless I decide to sign another transfer, which I would not, because I've been given the mandate by the people of Nairobi, God willing, if they do that on the 9th of August. What has been working within their structure, I can adopt as a department, but under the accountability, under the oversight of the county government. What has not been working, we get rid of. You can't build 24 hospitals and say you've built a hospital. Yet hakuna dawa. There are no doctors in there. In Kasarani, we were there the other day, and I said, I thought you have a hospital. They go to Kiambu, because I said, that is just a hole. It is a hole. There's nothing being done in there. So we must see what they did a lot of good PR, because, Nairobians sometimes, when we see some cabro, some streets clean on this side of town, we're happy. Just go down to go downtown. Go past Ronald Ngala. Look at how it is. Garbage is back. Nairobi has become a dump site. You know, look at how the human resource element has been addressed. Talk to any doctor who works in Nairobi, or any nurse who works in the city. Talk to any person who's in the county government. Apart from what they had been used to, there's actually a lot that is not working. So we will not transfer any function to the national government. Instead, there are certain functions we want from the national government. I went to a school towards the end of COVID in Dagoretti North, Gatina Primary School, and I was going to donate desks. I had done in Raila Educational Center. I sent some desks to Roysambu, to Kasarani, and now I was going to Dagoretti North because I looked for well-wishers. Because during COVID, hawa watu wa Nairobi ni wakora saa ingine. Walienda wakabomoa desks ya watoto. Wasema hii shule haiko, tunataka scrap metal na mbao. Imagine, from the communities. But imagine when I did that, I asked the kids, okay, you know, they all get excited. Super Senator, how are you? Mzuri, they want, you know. So usually I ask them, what do you like me to do for you? Sometimes they say, tunataka football, or some things to play with, or a school bus. They said they want lunch, food.
Wow. As
a parent, my heart sank. These kids are suffering. Wow. They have nothing in their stomach because COVID broke down a lot of people's economies. Nyumbani mzazi hana kitu. So we researched and found this program by a lady called Wawira, called Food for Education, where in collaboration now with the Dagoretti South MP and many others who are doing it, you build a kitchen, a central kitchen. And in that kitchen, let me tell you, the one in Mukarara Primary is feeding 13 schools around there. The kids have a gadget, the parent just loads 15 shillings. The meal is normally 25, but it's gone down to 15, subsidized. That parent, even as he goes to hustle, knows at least mtoto wangu akona kitu kwa tumbo. We're going to make that program across Nairobi and we'll subsidize it to 5 shillings as a county government. Wow. That every child in a public school, there are 209 of them, will not go without food. Do you know children lose a third of their education because all these kids who have no food, they leave school at 12:30 and they don't come back until the next day. So they can't catch up with what was taught in the afternoon the previous day. And I'm very happy the deputy president accepted. I took him there, he saw it. I don't know if he saw photos of him serving food. I took him to that school. I told him, this is in my manifesto in Nairobi. Please make it part of your national manifesto. And he has agreed. So even in his manifesto, the Kenya Kwanza manifesto, school feeding will be there. Now people will ask, these 209 primary schools are not enough. It's a place to start from. And that model can be replicated. I'm sure many people, because once they see the governance structure is proper, the parents themselves are involved. The people who are cooking there in Dagoretti are the parents of those children. Mama yao, who will accept anything but to be put in that food. These kids are getting 650 grams of food, and believe it or not, they're not finishing. Wanabakisha wanapeleka nyumbani to their siblings or to their parents. Dignity. Dignity to our people. If we don't secure this generation, and so I say, if we look at everything in terms of the kids, we'll sort out Nairobi. We'll sort out a lot of what we need to do in the city. So there is that. There's the issue of healthcare. We're going to sort out healthcare in the city. We have to deal with the human resource aspect of healthcare. We have to deal with the issue, of staffing. People have stayed in the same job group. They're not motivated. Na vitu ndogo ndogo, you find the nurses and clinical workers in Pumwani hata hawana mahali ya kukunywa chai, kupatiwa chai during the night. So if that person already is frustrated, how will they treat that woman? That's why they're telling them to sleep down there. So we'll not tolerate that kind of treatment, but we'll make sure we've taken care of the human resource. The drugs issue. Pharma and non-pharma supplies. Today, Nairobi owes the government more than 300, billion or something, not billion, million, which can be paid, to KEMSA or to whoever it is, to make sure there is a proper supply chain. You'll never go to a private hospital and find Aga Khan has an excess supply of Panadol and a shortage of Amoxil. Because you have a supply chain management system that knows centralized, this is what is required. Towards Dandora, they need respiratory drugs. And of course, I'll talk about that later, about Dandora. Yes. We deal with that. Number 3, we deal with the issue of financing. If we ring fence the health fund in Nairobi, we ring fence it. Si hospitali ni yangu, daktari ni wangu, dawa ni yangu. Why should the Nairobian pay anything extra? We'll have that, nimesikia wanafanya baba care, we'll have SAKAJA care card in Nairobi. For our public facilities, if you're a Nairobi voter, at a very minimal fee with the NHIF model, you'll not pay for those things. You don't have to. We will do as a contribution with you so that you get that treatment. Go to St. Mary's Hospital. It is serving, it is doing what the county government should be doing in Langata. The model that guy has operated, he's having 300,000 people. That mze. We can actually give people dignity. Today, you find a family, one person gets sick. Umejaribu umejenga hata nyumba mahali, you have some few, livestock somewhere. One person gets sick, you go back to zero. You're impoverished completely. We cannot have that. So the health information management system in that card with a chip will be able to tell Bitok, alienda Mutuni dispensary, this is what his medical history is, this is what he was treated. If you feel it's not working and you go to Mama Lucy, they will see also what you are being treated. Because what people are doing, they're going and getting conflicting.
Hii mambo ya kutembea na nini? Na x-ray.
Yeah, na wengine hawasemi. Wanasema ile walitibiwa hapo is not working. So huyu daktari anakuprescribe kitu inagongana na hii. People are dying for
huyu anakudunga malaria.
People are dying for serious reasons.
But we talk you here. Hospital is not the building.
It is not.
That is hospital is the service inside.
Service.
But you see, our focus is the paint,
24
and
buildings,
the wall,
concrete,
and the building.
Yeah.
Yet it is people will still go to that dingy place if they can be treated, if there is medicine, and they can be cured. Because you don't go to hospital because you want to relax.
You understand a 5-star place.
Yeah, you are going.
I really like your attitude. Wewe enda kutafuta tufanye kazi because you said something important when we were discussing the issue of banning. Ban matatu, ban nini. I took Sonko to court when he did that matatu ban. Because he had banned matatu from entering town. Yet unataka mama mzee ama mjamzito ashukishwe fig tree atembe all the way to railway to go and people in Nairobi walk, but they don't walk out of choice. They walk because they can't afford transport. So I said, unless you've created a system that from those designated bus stops, there's a shuttle, a big one that takes people around the city. I said, let's stop it. Let's stop thinking in terms of if you need to ban anything, ban the private ones. This one that is carrying high capacity people, encourage that. Have BRT. There's a plan, 400 million shillings done by JICA and the Nairobi City Council that time and the county government. 400 million shilling plan that talks about the rail in Nairobi. The proper rail. The heavy nodes. And they call it a loop system. That is what we're going to implement. We must implement it. There'll be a space ya auto matatu watakuwa na space yao juu. Hakuna train itapeleka mtu mpaka nyumbani. But everyone will work with order and dignity. This expressway is a good thing. I like it. But let me tell you, in a few years, it'll be full. When we built Thika Road, everyone said, oh, now there'll be no traffic. Everyone moved there.
We are back.
Look at Thika Road today. The more roads you build, the more people buy cars, the more traffic you get.
It's not sustainable.
There's a book you need to read called The Power Broker by Robert Moses. The same biographer, by Robert Caro, the guy who was a biographer of LBJ. And talks about the rise and fall of New York. That this Robert Moses in New York just wanted to build expressways and roads and build them. That's why till today, despite the subway system, there's still a semblance of a traffic mess in New York. Because he even did bridges that were too short to allow mass transit buses to pass. Wow. It was deliberate. He had something against this mass transit thing. We must, and this is the time to do it. Nairobi, in the next 30 years, we will not be able to do it. Right now, we still have the spaces. We still have the areas to do it. We still have, in the middle of Jogoro, you can do. If you look at Dubai, Dubai Metro was done in 3 years. The same guys who did it have done Saudi Metro. Do you know I met the guy who was in charge of, who played a big role in it. I just want to show you his name. Yeah? Look at his name. Can you read that far?
Odongo.
Jojo Dongo.
Jojo Dongo.
Saudi Metro.
Saudi Metro.
The person who has sorted out London mass transit.
My goodness.
And
He's
Beijing. Leave this one. This one is Saudi and Dubai. In the UK, London transit. He is the head of civil engineering and the environment department at Imperial College. Professor Washington Ochieng. YOLO.
Hey.
Kenyans have these solutions.
Oh, wow.
We cannot have Nairobi. So that's what I'm saying. The plan for the city is to think Nairobi in 50 years must be like this. This is what we must do now. And this is how we build into it. So of course I understand. And that's why you need political resilience. You need somebody who understands the politics and can wrestle with it. Because kesho watu watagoma, kesho kutwa hawa, hawezi kuwa na governor mwenye atafanywa, ashtuke, ajiuzulu. No. You must have someone who can withstand that political pressure because you must have that vision and say in 5 years, this is what we must do. This is why we are moving together with the people of Nairobi.
And you see that is very interesting because somebody said when they ask cities like Hong Kong why they develop, they said, you see the problem with Kenya, you chose to kill your descent. You chose to kill Tomboya. You chose to kill J.M. Kariuki. Us, we use this descent to improve. And you see what SAKAJA is saying. It shows you that we don't offer these things on merit. It might be based on the last name basis. And so you find these people doing a great job. Right now, there's a lot of statistics showing that about 60% of Nairobi are malnourished.
Imagine that.
Akonja.
Underfed.
In a city.
Yes, 1 meal. You know, the first time I came to Nairobi, I'm like, Sasa sini lunch, and you don't see, and they have a way of acting like time does not exist. Vaselining their mouth. I'm like, no, really, this is Nairobi, so I had a very tough picture of Nairobi and Nairobians. Can you imagine having people who are underfed telling them, as you have your toothpick after Nyama Choma, that it's a walking nation? No, you go walk. You are projecting your lifestyle and your lifestyle disease and your bloated lifestyle on this person who is malnourished, whose job is physical. This person has walked from Kibera to industrial area. As if that is not enough, is coming to carry heavy things.
It's a very elitist thinking. I sat with the RMS guys, they were saying, we need to do these walkways and walk paths. Of course, we need them. But the reason was like, how many people walk to work? Let us now provide for them a nice environment to walk to work. They don't walk because they like it. Yeah. It is because we've not sorted out public transport. Yes. Sometimes I stop maybe at Yaya. They all jump in. They were walking. Why are they jumping into that matatu? Wow. Everyone wants to get home faster. They're not trying to spend more time with your children. Relax because tomorrow is a tough. It's because that 50 shillings, that 100 shillings they don't have. The cost of living has gone up. Mafuta ya kupika is 400, which was 250. Unga ya 100 is now 210. So we must think, it is like that person who said, give them cake, Marie Antoinette. They don't have bread. Oh, give them cake. That thinking is so elitist. And I told these people, my friends, that is not the problem. They're not working for fun. Let us provide cheap, affordable, reliable. Unajua nikipanda train hapo Karen and there's a parking silo nimeacha gari yangu hapo. I can be in South Sea in 20 minutes. There's a 7 a.m. It moves at 7 a.m., 7:15. And there are companies who even I know are willing to do it on a PPP basis. Not off balance sheet of Nairobi County. But the political will is what has been missing.
And I found something very interesting. I was in Dar es Salaam over December.
Yeah.
And it's in with the BRT.
The BRT in Dar es Salaam. Yetu ni lipstick on Thika Road.
You don't even want...
Lipstick on a pig.
And I saw them doing it. I was in Dam. On the inside.
Paintiwa marangapi. Count on Kenya to bastard this good idea.
You see, the problem is we don't have a holistic, integrated transport solution. I sat with the French ambassador recently, and a senator from France, and they said they're contributing something towards a commuter line from the railway from the airport to railway station. I said, it is nice, but what is the bigger plan? We must have an entire integrated plan and say, this is phase 1. This is phase 2. This is but this is the bigger picture. Sell that vision. You can't say, leo me I want to do a viaduct on tunaweka gorofa kwa Langata Road. Kesho mtu afikirie because I can do this tender tuweke BRT on Thika Road. Where is it terminating? Watu wanashukia wapi? And just simple thinking. Before tulikuwa tunapanda matatu 42 ni number 48 Dandora na Kibira. Town doesn't need to be the central point of where you're getting. And you see, part of what we're going to do to reduce congestion in town is to decentralize Nairobi further. We're going to have 5 boroughs. We're proposing 5 boroughs. Nairobi North, East, West, South, and Central. The person dealing with roads in Kayole does not have to think of potholes in Westlands. The person dealing with garbage in South Sea has nothing to do with garbage collection in Kangemi. And that is what leads to lack of accountability. You find someone who's mbona hapa kuna shida, anasema there was a crisis I was dealing with in Mukuru kwa Njenga. That's why Westlands iko namna hiyo. Once you do that, you reduce the number of people who need to come to town. When you have to do your issues with the county government and you're in Langata, you will do them from Langata. I don't want to see you in City Hall. I'll provide for you. First, you'll do them on your phone. That's why I have a deputy who is a systems guy. Chief Operating Officer, ABSA. He knows how to set up systems. It's a digital world. You can now do it over there. But what waache kuja town kila mtu and decentralize those services. But there'll be you don't need to terminate matatus and buses in one central place. We can have joining routes across the city based on the flow of traffic. So, we have all these ideas, but we first need to get elected for us to implement.
No, you'll make it. I found it very interesting. I found deep Azimio people saying the only place they will depart with Azimio is Sakaja. And I said, wow. Well, really, I'm very honest. I was in airport on Saturday. My car stalled. I got a mechanic from, I can't remember. He was a lawyer guy.
Yeah.
I even have his number. Then
wow.
just to bounce. So they are very clear.
I'd love to say to him,
They are very clear that singine tutafanya na Azimio. Tutafanya na Azimio, singine tutafanya na Azimio. And you know, he didn't even look like an aggressive guy who take a stand on it. And so that really gave me a different view that you, by God's grace, might just make it.
By God's grace.
Because people are very clear about where is SAKAJA in this ticket.
There's something that you've mentioned, Mheshimiwa, and it's about the misdiagnosis of issues and
shooting from the
giving. Yes, I give different. Like you're saying. Now, NMS, they're sitting, they know there's a problem. They see Kenyans walking.
Yeah, so let's help them walk
better.
Like,
now, let's make pavement for them. They're not wondering why these people.
Where are they walking?
Where is them? I mean, do you think our leadership is out of touch?
To a great extent. One of our leaders was asked the price of bread, he said 500 shillings in 2013. To a great extent. And we had briefed him before. You know, people don't know. Hapana, mimi najua, hata sasa najua ni pesa ngapi na maziwa, nimekwambia mafuta. We're out of touch. And we don't do participatory planning. That you think that once I become governor, I have all the solutions. And I will give you those solutions. It can never work. You need a participatory framework. I saw something very nice in the US. I'd gone for a study visit. I forget the name of the particular. It was a county within the state, where the budget of that local area every year there's a portion. The residents sit and decide what they want, and what they decide they want with that project, they're the ones to oversee it, and they're the ones to make it happen. Wow. The county just delivers the resources and tells them these are the guidelines. So in Nairobi, what we're saying, what Buruburu, mujue mko na labda 20 million. Mukae pamoja. And you know, there's very high standards in these smaller organizations and units. If there's a chama in Langata, useme ati treasurer kwe Babanjeri, wanasema hapana, hai wezi kuwa treasurer, huyu. And labda ni mchango 100,000. There's huge accountability. But the people of Karen will say, okay, these are us, we want this kind of thing. The people of Umoja will say, us, we want this social hall to be revamped. So it is 20 million. This year we'll do this. Next year we'll do this project. Every part of Nairobi through the resident area associations will have a budget for a social cause that they want to do in their estate. That will give them ownership. Because if you're so concerned about who's the treasurer for mchango of 50,000, but you don't care who's the governor of 50 billion, yako. It's because you don't think you own it. It's so far removed.
That's why vandalism now comes in. Because it is not yours. And of course, so you bring your guys, they do things for us. It's not self-determination, as you are saying, and self-rule. Because self-rule will involve us doing it for us. And I think what he was giving us a background, I've always have a negative attitude to city people.
Yes.
Born city for it. Tiana Ushago.
Born town.
Yeah.
So
because I grew up in, I don't know, I didn't grow up in the rural, but I grew up in a smaller place. But I've generally have that feeling of
these town people.
But when I stayed in some towns in the US, I came to admire. You find somebody saying, that was my high school.
Yes.
That was my university. Now I'm working here.
Yes.
That was my church. For generations. Then you find that is how you create neighborhood.
Yes.
Because now this is mine.
You own it.
Yes, and that is what you are describing. So you find somebody saying, I'm going to volunteer as a fire marshal in this town beside my work. Because it is my town.
Because you own it.
It is my pride. But there is something, and so that is the good thing that most of Kenyans we don't have.
We want to introduce that.
That you have. When you talk of Buruburu, there are people who are saying this is my place.
What was Buru? What was Jerry?
Because you see, for us, the town you grew up, it's not the town you went to school. It's not the town your first job in. So you don't have attachment. Hapa ni kazi tu. But you see, when you are deeply rooted in that town,
And
you will even cry when money is siphoned. In that town, mnajua very well, huyu ni mwizi, huyu hawezi kwa MCA. Unakumbuka tulipokuwa high school vile alikuwa akifanya zile lunch zetu zile, alipokuwa dining hall captain alikufanyaje? So then you find people who can genuinely say, in this town, this is our priority, and this is why, and we are making our town better.
All right. Let's have our headphones on. Good morning.
Good morning, Gerald.
Good morning to you, sir. How are you?
I'm very fine. This is Farid Faraj.
Yes, Farid, mambo.
Poa sana. Habari ya mheshimiwa.
Salama sana, mambo vipi?
Salama sana mheshimiwa. I only have a single question for you.
Yes.
It's about sanitation.
Yes.
We have a problem with sanitation in the city. If you walk in the back streets of Nairobi, there are a lot of they are dumping there, a lot of beverages, and they're not being collected. One of the slum areas that I've ever been to, like Kawangware, immediately after Briban School, that is where Kawangware starts.
Yes.
Bongo, Msalaba,
Muslim.
There is a dumping site that is just on the roadside, and here are people living. What is your government going to do to remove these health hazards that is glaring at all people in Nairobi, so that we have one area that is needed for dumping the beverages and where people are living? They should be differentiated.
Thank you.
Number two, there are a lot of open sewers in Nairobi. When it rains, I think it is time for people to open out their sewers to go with the water, the rainwater. So there's a lot of open sewers in Nairobi. So I don't know how we're going to handle this, because it is a problem that has been there all through. From when I stepped in Nairobi back in 2010, I've been seeing this all through. I hope your government will change on this.
Okay.
Asanteni sana.
Thank you.
Asante sana Farid. Na hujasema wewe ni daktari? Hujauliza maswali ya healthcare. Ama uliacha kazi ya daktari?
Mimi daktari bado. Sasa sanitation is part of health.
Yeah.
Asante. Bunga la mwenye jambo.
Preventive.
Bunga la mwenye jambo. Good morning. Good morning to you. How are you?
Hapa ni usiku.
Good evening watu wangu wa diaspora. Mambo vipi? New Jersey.
New Jersey.
Habari ya Dr. wakili hapo.
We are in Dallas.
Asante. Na Sakaja, nimefurahi sana mwanzo Sakaja yako hapa.
Asante.
Tutajaribu kuongea haraka kidogo. Niko na maswali na kazi ninataka kupatia kila mmoja wenu. Kwa hivyo taanza na Sakaja.
Tuko tayari.
Yes.
Sakaja, mwanzo kwanza nimpe heshima zake mheshimiwa Sakaja. Hujambo?
Si jambo. Mambo vipi?
Poa sana. Sasa mimi nataka nikuzungumzie kidogo tu. Mimi nataka nikuzungumzie kama youth kwanza. Tuweke kwanza. Najua hapa hii ni tackle. Hapa tackle tunawachanga kila kitu nje, tunawasiliana
kabisa.
So Sakaja, mimi naona kwanza wewe nyota yako iko juu sana, na mambo yako kulingana na how smart you are, kulingana na vile unajieleza na vile umekuwa ukijibeba.
Asante.
Ni kwamba wewe ni mtu ambaye utakuwa wa busara sana, na miaka ingine ikija hatujui, pengine wewe utakuja kuwa rais wa Kenya. Kwa mfano kitu yenye mimi na ningependa tu kusema Sakaja, wewe ukiwa kama ni youth na ni mtu smart, umesoma, unaelewa mambo, unafanya mikakati gani kusaidia wananchi, sio tu wa Kenya, wa Nairobi hapo mahali umetoka, kama Kenya? Kwa sababu youth wa Kenya nimesikia ukiongea kama watu wanakuwa jobless, wanakula mungu kama nini. It pains, kwa sababu that is a generation we are losing, kwa sababu hawana hope.
True.
A time will come when this generation will come and bite back the country, kwa sababu we lost that gap ambayo ingekuwa wao wangekuwa wanafanya mambo ya busara. Wewe unafanyia nini kusaidia watu? Kwa sababu tukikaa tu kama ile position ya elite, tunasema unajua mimi sasa nimekuwa mwanasiasa, nimekuwa nini, tunapoteza